Hoisting is a process in the creation phase in JavaScript where a memory is allocated to the variables and the function declared in the execution context. I'll give you a short demo what it is exactly and how it works. First, we need to define what is a not defined and undefined. Difference between not defined and undefined. How do we know? Not defined is something which is not at all present in the execution context. That's mean you have never declared that variable or the function or the object. Suppose randomly I just print a. Okay, let's see. It will give an error saying reference error, a is not defined. Okay, now what I'll do, it's very interesting. Okay, it's var dot a. I am declaring a variable after first I'm printing a variable and then I'm declaring. Let's see then what happens. What? Undefined? How is this possible? We all know it's a single threaded language and it's synchronous at a time, right? It reads one command at a time and only in a line by line. Okay, so what happens then? How can we are able to print a variable which we are declaring in line 2 and print it in line 1? This is possible because of hoisting. So what exactly happens is when you declare a variable in a JavaScript, what JavaScript compiler does, it create an execution context. Execution context is basically a container where it has which has all the information about the variables, method and functions. Okay, it put a memory space to that. So what JavaScript does, okay, it reads the code. First it reads okay console.a and then it's read var.a. So what it will do, first it will create a var.a memory space. Now since we have not substituted any value to it, it automatically substitute the value of its primitive type called undefined. Okay, and when we try to access that variable, it check the execution context and it say, oh okay, a is declared but we have not initialized it with any value, so it's just print undefined. So this is what hosting is. Whenever you declare a variable, method or a function in a JavaScript, it is automatically placed in execution context. A memory space is given to them and their value is placed accordingly, and that is the reason why you get undefined here. Okay, now if I just put it 2, let's see then what happened. Still undefined. Why? Because initially what happened, first it will create a variable called a and it will first value it will give undefined. Okay, then it will console the log a and then it will rerun this code called variable.a whose value will be 2. Control Z. Okay, I'll just print 2. A. So you can see now the updated value is there. So what I mean, whenever you declare a variable, what happen is it will automatically put in a execution context first and the value will be given undefined. Okay, now this value will be substituted in the second step. So JavaScript now will run the code. First step, it will run console.a. It will check the execution context and say, okay, this variable is declared. It will print undefined. Then it will run step 2 in which variable a, we are initializing the value with 2. Then it will replace the value undefined by 2, and then again when it run in line 3 console.a, it will print 2. That's how hosting work in JavaScript.